Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 424th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we're going to get into, do you even need a blog? Does duplicate content matter? Does SEO matter? Should you be even doing that today? We've got Amit Raj, so you are in for a treat. This guy knows what he's talking about in the SEO space. If you missed the last few episodes, go back. Just published Ron White. He's a memory expert. I've known Ron for years out of the Dallas area. You've probably seen him on TV. He's memorized all of the fallen in Afghanistan. He's memorized a lot of different things to raise awareness for veterans' causes. He's a veteran himself. But he's held many records in memory competitions, and we talk about how to use that in sales. Obviously, if you've got a good memory, it's going to help you, but little things like memorizing somebody's name, just remembering it. There's tips, there's tricks, and we get into things like that. Before that was Stu Heineck, cool guy on how to get a meeting with anyone. You want to check that out. That was episode 422. John Jantz, 421, duct tape marketing fame. I've known him for many years. Super successful guy, down to earth. And then Allison Maloney, number 420, on how to get more PR. So a lot of good folks recently. We've got a lot more coming. Something I've been talking about the last couple of episodes is the 5, right? The 5.us. That is launching right now, the first group. See if there are seats available. If not, I'm going to do a few of them kind of close together to kind of build some momentum. There's been some interest, and there's only 5 people allowed in it. It's a 6-week program, so semi-private with me, and we conclude with 2 days in person here in Southern California. So you're going to get full access to the 30-day sales growth community. It's got all the Make Every Sale content, but semi-private calls, right, with us, one-on-one calls with other members in the group for accountability, and then 2 days in person. So join us now, okay? The 5.us. I haven't talked about it as much either. I need to make a list and just, I don't know. Yeah, let me know if I should have like a standard announcement, kind of reminders. I don't know. But hirethebestspeaker.com if you're looking for a keynote speaker that's going to show up on time, help you promote the thing, tailor the talk to your group, not show up hungover. Sounds silly, but it happens. Not drop a bunch of F-bombs, be appropriate, be practical, be relevant to your group. Let's talk, okay? hirethebestspeaker.com. Bring me in, train your group, small group, large group, back-to-back trainings, lead breakout sessions as well. That's what I do. And it's affordable, all right? I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's affordable. hirethebestspeaker.com. So now let's bring on our guest. Amit Raj, all the way from Glasgow, Scotland, who tells me SEO is not dead. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on, Wes.
So come on, man. Everybody knows SEO is dead. You got to run Facebook ads. It's all Facebook and Instagram stories now, right?
I mean, there's definitely value in using things like Facebook ads and, AdWords and all the rest of it. And I can definitely see the benefit of using paid traffic. So I won't disagree with you there. But the only problem is I see a lot of people having success with something like Facebook ads, but then they're not keeping one eye on their organic traffic. So in terms of, sure, it might take a more medium to long-term strategy to get your SEO going, and it's going to take a bit of work, but see when it does kick in, I mean, put it this way, you're essentially getting free traffic. You don't have to, once you've got it, you don't have to do anything to keep it. And as long as you're doing SEO the correct way, you'll keep it for, months, years down the line. And, you could see it's almost like another stream of traffic. So you could keep your Facebook ads, you could keep everything running, but should that decrease for some reason, or you want to tail off on it, it's always good to have that organic traffic coming through as well.
Right. So you and I crossed paths, and you had an interesting background. You would mention the Fire Festival, right?
Yeah.
FYRE, isn't that right?
Yeah,
One guy went to jail, a
that's right.
scoundrel that kind of led it. But there was a musician, and man, I'm so out of touch. I guess I'm getting old, dude. I turned 50 this year, so maybe it's time for me to just admit I'm not hip. I didn't know who Ja Rule was. I didn't know who these people were. I watched the documentary on Netflix, and I guess he's a well-known musician, rapper, producer, right?
Yeah, that's right. So he was, Ja Rule was quite big in the 90s. So I listened to him myself growing up. So that's kind of the only reason I knew about this backstory. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. But yeah, like you said, it's been on Netflix. I think there's a documentary on Hulu as well. I think there was two. But yeah, it was. I suppose shall I kind of break down what happened quickly to just so everybody knows?
So this guy wants to. So funny. Well, sidebar here, right? So when I was in
Yeah.
the Air Force, there was a pilot. He was from the UK, and when
Mm-hmm.
he got excited, he would like talk fast, and with
Yeah.
his accent, we would sometimes go what, and he would say
No, I
red
don't
light,
follow
green
up with
light,
that.
right? He would just say red light, green light, and so basically saying, do we understand what the heck he just said? And we're like, no, red light means so you got to repeat. So I thought you were going to tell the story,
Oh
but
yeah, sorry, I was
you were
waiting for
saying,
you.
should we tell the story? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just quickly. I mean, it was just I don't even remember the other dude's name, and it's not that important. He was a scoundrel, but like a well
Yeah,
known. He was famous in all these hoity-toity circles,
that's right.
and want to do this festival like in the Bahamas, right? They bought
That's right.
they bought some drug kingpin's
Yeah,
island, and
that's right. Yeah. Pablo
and
Escobar's,
Pablo
apparently Pablo
Escobar.
Escobar's island. And yeah, as you said, originally started as a tech company. It was an app for booking musicians. I think the
Right.
idea was they wanted the club owners and the people that own big nightclubs and chains to use this app. And it had some credibility. They had some big people backing it. A lot of money was being poured in. And the festival was meant to be a launch party almost, to once they launched it, everybody was going to know about the app, and
Yeah.
Fire Festival was going to be like the new, like Coachella, like something like this. It was going to be, they
Right.
thought that's what would happen. And obviously, yeah, the guy, I think really it kind of snowballed from him misusing the funds and then not using it in the right places. It's all in the documentary, but
Yeah.
essentially he had to commit fraud because it was just, I think it was all getting on top of him, and then he had to pay people back.
Yeah.
So the whole thing collapsed and it lost, $26 million probably, or more than that. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people lost out.
Yeah, it was.
And
I mean, if you want
yeah,
to learn about human persuasion and gullibility, and
yeah,
the fraud that these Instagram models
yeah,
are, because
that's
they had
right.
these influencers, right? It was basically
Oh
just a
yeah,
bunch
yeah.
bunch of good looking women in bikinis that they
The
flew out
Kardashians
to.
and yeah,
Yeah, they're an influencer. I mean, it was just a sham. But I mean, the whole reason we bring that up is, I mean, Ja Rule was clean in this. I mean, he's
mm,
a well-known dude. And in this past year, in 2019, you connected with them to start helping them with PR and SEO, right? Or just SEO.
it was more to do with the PR. So I've been talking to his management at Icon. We obviously got to talking about SEO and link building and the specific kind of things that I do. And what I found was that traditional SEO wasn't really going to be the most efficient way for them, because they don't have to get into the whole targeting keywords and all this kind of thing. They kind of need big hitting stuff. So I thought, look, you need somebody to help with the PR. So that's where I came in, and I said, look, there's specific places, there's specific people we want to connect with, and if we can get, Icon, which is the new company, the new app, Icon, on these places, if we can keep doing it, we can build a lot of, build a lot of excitement, get some momentum going, get them in front of some, key players, because they're very early stages. So at the moment, it's about getting in the right business circles and getting some investors in. So, but even with that, PR is still going to help. So I'm helping them with a kind of an online PR perspective.
So what role does PR play in SEO?
Yeah, so interestingly, for when it comes to link building, so link building, if I want to kind of put it in layman's terms, it's like going to different websites, to blogs, online publications, and asking for them to link to your website, to almost promote it, not advertise the website, but to kind of share your content and to mention your content and your brand, whether it's in existing articles or if you write the articles for them. So that's generally what I tend to do with most businesses is we'll do link building. The PR element is to do with going to these publications with the right angle, because a lot of the time, especially if you want to get on some of the big, if you want to get on the big news sites, if you want to get on newspapers, if you want to get on Forbes or Lad Bible or these big places, it's going to take a bit of a PR thinking rather than SEO, which is where because I specialize in link building, I'm not really doing the traditional SEO, the kind of geeky, the technical stuff. This is what people tend to think of when they think about SEO, and they don't think about how do we connect to other websites? How do we connect up with editors or journalists? So you have to think a bit more like a PR with that respect.
All right. So that's interesting because, yeah, typically when we think of SEO, we think of H1, H2 tags, metadata, descriptions, keyword density, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But so do you touch on that at all with clients, or do you focus primarily on link building?
Primarily on link building. I still see the benefit in the technical stuff, and a lot of the clients have already done it. But what tends to happen, and I've worked with one client who does they recycle gadgets for cash. Like if you give them an old iPhone, they give you cash. So they were doing quite well. The problem was they'd been doing SEO for a while and they kind of reached this limit and they couldn't get past it. So what they figured out was they didn't have the best links. They had some links, but they couldn't really seem to get them consistently because they weren't actively getting them. So that's why they got me on board. And my typical client tends to be someone that a business that they've done SEO for a while, they've had some results, but they're missing that kind of extra edge. So they need something else, and that's generally going to be links. Most of the time, it is going to be links that are the kind of the missing piece of the puzzle.
So are you creating content that they put on their website and then you get companies to link to them, or are you creating the articles and you give the article gets published on Forbes or whatever and then links back to them?
It can be both. It can be a mixture of both. So what you'll find is you'll want to, in the initial stages, we'll publish content for other people and they'll link back to the client. But ideally, you want the client to be producing their own content, because say, for instance, you publish the ultimate guide to changing your tires or something. Well, I'm just thinking of a random idea.
The definitive guide to Infusionsoft. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, yeah, something like this would do. So, for instance, say you created this piece and you made it, super long. It was amazing. It had, all the best tips on it. You could then reach out to, 100 other websites or online publications that talk about something like that and ask for them to link to it. And that's far more efficient to do it that way rather than doing it the other way where you publish content on their site and then link back to them. So it'll be a mixture of both. I think doing, especially when it's something like Forbes, generally you would probably have to start off like that where you write for them. But I think doing both has value as long as you can get the link.
I'm always torn. People will hit me up and they want to write for me as part of an
Mm,
SEO
yeah.
strategy. And maybe I'm just too picky. I don't know. I like writing. I think I'm a good writer. And the content I usually see that they produce it's kind of stale. It's kind of
Mm,
generic, right? It
yeah.
doesn't have my
Mm.
voice. Does it matter? I mean, do the links matter more than the quality of the content, or do they go hand in hand?
I think what you hit on there is quite key because, and this is the conversation we've had with a lot of clients. If you want to, write an article for somebody, or if you want them to link to you, you're going to have something good. So, like you said, you probably looked at that person's content and thought, well, why am I going to let him right there? There's nothing that stands out. If that guy had really, amazing content, and you were like, yeah, I've never heard anything like this before, and it was really something quality. Somebody like yourself could have been more open to it. I mean, you might not, but there's a lot of people out there that are, they don't mind linking out to other people as long as it's something good. It's something that complements something they are doing on their own business, or if it's, as long as it's not competing with them directly. I think that's the key thing as well. So I think, you know, quality of content is going to be key, I think, especially when it comes to building links.
But if somebody, let's say they're not a good writer and they don't have a lot of content, is it better to at least put something out there? Even if they don't like it, they're not in love with it, get it out there, because out of sight, out of mind.
I'm pretty sure I've heard kind of Gary Vee go into this concept, and a lot of people talk about him, where he says, it's about putting, and I think he hit on it when he said it's not really about the. No, I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't sound as bad. Um,
Well, it's Gary Vaynerchuk. You got to put
I
like
know
12 F bombs in
it's
it.
very hypey. I know. So I'll probably put it in my own words. So I would say, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but as you start to do it more and more over time, you'll get better at it. So I think the quantity sometimes is going to lead to quality at some point. But you're going to have to produce good content if you want to, if you want to actively get some links, and if you want people to link to, the quality of the content is really going to matter.
And that's, I know people can be too picky.
Mm,
I mean, it is. It's out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, are there? Do the search engines value everything the same? I mean, can they see like, oh man, Wes hasn't done anything in 4 months, and now all of a sudden there's 18 articles? Are the algorithms smart enough, or do they even care? It's like if Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur or whatever are publishing my stuff, I mean, those are reputable sites. So is there really any penalty to this?
No, I mean, as long as you're building links and people are sharing your stuff on, if it's good quality websites, if they're relevant to your own, and this is proven that Google does value links, good quality links, as a ranking factor. So, okay, for instance, if you get published on a website, you're going to get, first of all, you're going to get the direct traffic because they're going to click on it and they'll go through to your website. So you've got that one. But secondly, a search engine like Google is going to see that these sites are linking to you. They'll reward you in the rankings. So we've got a term that some SEOs call it is link equity or link juice. So basically, it's like when they call it link juice, it's like that link has power. So it will see that it's linking to you, and you'll get rewarded for it. And if you keep doing consistently, over time, your rankings will start going up, and then that is going to drive traffic as well. The key thing is making sure it's quality links, because some people misconstrue it and they start thinking, well, you know what, I'll go on Fiverr and then I'll buy, 500,000 links from this guy in the Philippines, and then
Yeah.
and then because okay, that probably used to work, in the 90s or something, in the kind of old school days of SEO, but
Yeah.
it's becoming much harder. And like you said, the Google algorithm is so advanced now that you can't really game them as
Yeah.
much as you could anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why SEO is becoming, a lot of people are saying it doesn't work, but the reality is it does work. It's just that how it works is changing, and a lot of people haven't moved. They've not moved with the times, and they're trying to do the old techniques.
So, because I mean, traditional SEO does take a while to get traction. I mean, typical firms tell you 4 to 6 months before you can really expect to see any kind of noticeable improvement. Most business owners I know that they're not good writers. They don't want to write. They're really not good marketers. And they're really not good salespeople. I mean, it's crazy sometimes to think like, how the hell are they even in business? But they're pig-headed and determined, and they stay after it, and they grow, they build a business. But if they're not going to do it, right, they're not going to create regular content. I mean, just they're not. Most people are not going to do it. So when they go to you, let's say you create a 500, 800 word article, it gets published, gets picked up by Inc. magazine. Can they reuse that? Is there a duplicate content penalty, or is that really kind of a myth, or kind of gone away over the last several years?
No, that I would, like you said, that you would be careful of that. You wouldn't want to keep using the same content. You could write about the same subject again, and but you'd really have to make sure it's
I don't mean it's the same. I don't mean it's the same article like that you pitch to all these places, but can you have, again, let's say Forbes picks it up, and that's the only place you pitch it to. Can you also have that blog on your website, or maybe a week or a month later, go ahead and put it on your site so you have some content, or is that kind of a no-no?
Generally, we try to avoid that. I think we'd be okay, and what we tend to do is we'll ask them to rewrite another version of it and make it as unique as possible, but we wouldn't do it word for word. There's still some kind of disagreement among SEOs disagree all the time, but some people say it doesn't have an effect. Some say it does. The only problem is if you had it published in two places, what you might find is one is going to way outrank the other, and then nobody will see the first one anyway if you're trying to rank them on the search engine. But generally speaking, we try to avoid that. So I would say no, you kind of want to avoid that.
Do articles, do they expire? I had a technology blog, and I wrote about the Motorola Razr, in 2005. Will Wired magazine sunset that article, or will it always live?
In terms, if they publish the article, you mean?
Right. And you have a 15-year-old post about technology. It's like, is anybody really looking up instructions on how to program a VCR? But maybe for nostalgia's sake, it's fine. So do they keep them and just leave them up forever?
Yeah, generally speaking, you do find that that content will stay there. And the good thing is, even say you're not getting any direct traffic from that, from that link, from that article, you've still got that link sitting there in terms of the strength of it. So once you build that link, it's going to be a permanent link, and it'll stay there, so you'll still benefit from it, from years down the line.
If people are following a good link building strategy, do they even need a blog on their website, right? Could I have some informative pages, maybe a couple of landing pages for some free reports? I put in some retargeting, and just use someone like you to create content, get me published, create the inbound. Do I even need a blog?
Yeah, that's like you can do it without a blog as well. We've had clients that generally, they'll have articles written for other websites, and they'll get the links through that. The only thing is it's less efficient, because what we tend to do is the client will either cover the cost of the writer, or they'll have somebody in the team doing it. And that's generally better if it's quite a technical business, if it's something to do with some kind of software company or something, for instance, or something else about, there was a client that does financial trading. So something like that, they had somebody in-house because it's very technical. But it's less efficient because you're having to produce content each time and publish it. It's usually better to have the content on your own site, and then to just reach out and then ask other people to link in. So that actually, in a way, in the long term, you wouldn't notice straight away, but in the long term, it actually saves them time and money. because they are not having to produce content each time. It's a lot more efficient.
So you're reaching out to other, I don't know what the term, influencers, not necessarily, not just the big publishing companies. Because I mean, I get pitched regularly. Somebody will say, "Hey," well, like this, right? I'll say, "Oh,
Yeah, they'll see.
I see you had an interview on SEO. And we wrote this guide on SEO. Would you mind linking to us?" I mean, is that?
Yeah, there's a lot. I've heard there's a lot of people trying to do link building, and you can sometimes tell when it's someone that doesn't know what they're doing because they might come up. They'll basically send a template, and what a lot of them are doing is they're blasting the template out to everybody, and sometimes they get it wrong, and they're sending the link. They're asking someone to link to something which isn't actually to do. That's when somebody really doesn't know what they're doing, and we try and personalize it a lot more because when you're link building, what you really want to do, if you really do it properly, you want to keep the numbers a bit lower. You don't want to be sending out to 10,000, 20,000. You want to keep the numbers lower, but the quality of the outreach needs to be a bit better. So you need to take the time. You might need somebody on your team or yourself actually looking at the websites and going, you know what, they've got this article. I think we've got something here and that could be worth mentioning because X, Y, Z. And the outreach really, it does need to be personalized. You can still use templates. We do use templates from time to time, but we still personalize them as well. So we don't blast them out. We use them as a kind of skeleton. And it's funny because even for instance, with Jarrell and Icon, when we got him into Forbes, we actually got one of the editors of Forbes CMO. It's one of their magazines, Forbes CMO. It's for marketing directors. The email we sent to her to get her attention and to get her on the call was a template. We just personalized it. Now, that's strange, but you would think that shouldn't work, but it was good enough to get her attention.
Yeah, sure.
So it's kind of like you need to make it, it's not even personalize the whole email, but make it really feel like you're talking to them one-on-one. So that's that fine line that you want to have.
So how much does an article need to be changed for it to not be considered duplicate? Because it'd be nice if I could just throw that content like on my Facebook page, copy and paste it maybe as an article on my LinkedIn profile, and also send it out, publish it as a blog, and maybe have it get picked up by Forbes, so is it 20%, 30%? Is it 50%, dramatically changed? Like how much does it need to be tweaked?
We never really put a hard figure on it because of the way the algorithm works. There is going to be a degree of leniency. So that's why the kind of argument around duplicate content it's not really been agreed upon, but I would say it needs to be rewritten enough that a human wouldn't think that this is the exact same article. I would say we could get away with changing words, using different words. Restructuring the article works really well because say you discuss something in a different order, or you do it, you talk about disadvantages and advantages, and then in another article, you take a different angle and you maybe split it into paragraphs. So I would say change it as much as possible, but having, similarities is fine.
Right. And so then how important is multimedia? I mean, infographics, a lot of pictures. Can it just be good content or does it have to be pretty as well?
I think that's when you start looking at it from a human value perspective. So I think with a lot of SEO, what they tend to do is they'll think about it in terms of, they'll think about it very technically, as we've said before. So they'll start saying, you need 3% keyword density, and then the images need to be tagged with a keyword and all this kind of thing. I think you want enough images to break up the text and to make it readable, to basically have good we call it user experience. So you want someone to have, to really like the content when they're reading it and have human value, because if you can keep people on the page, that in itself is also a ranking factor. So you want to have enough that it keeps them on there, but you don't want to stick images in for the sake of it. Infographics are good because I think especially when you've got a lot of data, if you've got something that's really heavy and like really heavy on data, and for instance, there might be other people talking about some kind of industry trends or something where there's a lot of data, if you can take other people's research, put it into an infographic, and then reach out to other websites or blogs and ask them to link to it, that can work really well. If nobody else has really done it before, that's worked for our clients before as well.
Yeah, very cool. Man, this is awesome. So you've got a cool website we talked about, right? What is where should we send our listeners who are jogging or on a treadmill? You got an easy URL we can send them to?
Yeah, so best URL is thelinksguy.com.
So thelinksguy.com.
The Links Guy. See, as a link specialist, so I thought the Links Guy, it's a catchy name. It's also my Instagram username if anybody uses Instagram, but I just thought, but yeah, thelinksguy.com, just click on there and you'll see the link to my other website as well.
All right, I'm going to look you up right now on Instagram. So thelinksguy.com. And I mean, obviously you work around the world, right? Certainly in the US.
Yeah, that's right. So I've worked with clients, from the UK, the US, India, Australia. We can really work with anyone. The good thing about being, even though I'm based in Scotland, it can work worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, in Scotland, like you almost speak English, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have to remove the extra U's when you're doing English, American English posting? Like
Extra.
favorite?
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, I have noticed that. Actually, we've got the more complicated English, shall we say? Or is that the English that have the better English?
If you did a post for me and it spelled favor with a U, people would know, okay, Wes is not that smart. He's clearly outsourced in this.
You might start thinking you're British or something.
I told people, I grew up in Louisiana and English was an elective. So, I mean, it really didn't have to do much with it.
But it's interesting, all the different differences between British and American English. There's a lot of words, like there was one that I only noticed working with a client recently, fulfillment. Apparently you guys use 2 L's, but we only use one. We have fulfillment as in, I think you use 3 in total, we only use 2. There's a lot of different things like that. Oh, yeah. It's strange.
For sure. All right. Well, I will direct everyone. So thelinksguy.com, check it out. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Wes.
I know he had a strong accent, and some people say I have an accent, but I hope you got some value out of that. I like to get into the weeds on things like this because I think it's too easy to overlook or pass over, gloss over. You hear these SEO people, really in anything. Oh, it's just so easy. 3 simple things. And it's always a gimmick to get you pulled in. At the end of the day, ultimately, SEO is about being consistent. There are some fundamentals that you've got to follow. There are free tools like Yoast SEO. I use HubSpot's CMS, and there's a lot of built-in functionality in HubSpot. You can pay for some tools like SEO Moz and things like that to help. Neil Patel has his Uber Suggest that'll do free keyword research. Google has good tools, but do your homework. Be consistent with your content creation. Write longer articles. Make sure the headline and the caption and the image all match. Make sure the keywords are sprinkled into the content. You can put variations on the word. You don't have to just fill it up with that exact phrase. Make sure you link out and in. So out to other articles. Make sure you get others to link into you, but then link intra, right? Within your own website, link to yourself. That's okay. But getting others to point to you, PR, getting published, things like that is a big indicator nowadays. It shows that you're credible because others are pointing to you. Just like when you're on stage, you walk into a room, you don't know what's going on. You could be in another country. You walk into a room, you see everybody facing in one direction. There's one person in the front. Well, you know who the important person is at that moment. And it's the same thing with your website. If a bunch of sites are linking to you, it's like a bunch of people looking at you on stage. That's SEO in a nutshell. So I hope you got a lot out of this. If you want to learn some more about this, if you want some one-on-one help, I do offer private coaching on a limited basis. You can just go to the website, go to Contact Us in the bottom, and we'll set a time to talk. If you want a little more affordable in a semi-group, check out the5.us. There is a workbook. There's all kind of stuff, but it's a very flexible, flowing format. How about that, FFF? Because it's a small group, I can kind of meet you where you are and massage the content and the flow based on where everyone is in the group. And then we're going to meet in person for 2 days as well. But I can help you with your SEO, with your copywriting, with your titles, landing pages, email sequences, phone scripts, you name it. It takes more than just 1 or 2 days, but it can certainly be done in 6 weeks plus 2 days. So come join me, all right? The5.us. Thanks for listening. Don't go sell something.